It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Jams.
All right, Frontiers spoiler warning right now. Spoilers ahead. So if you're not into Frontiers spoilers, don't listen any further. But if you are, hey, stick around. What was your first reaction and general thoughts on the new lore added in regards to the Chao and the Ancients?
Ancients caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting aliens to be the origin for the Chaos Emeralds and all that. The connection with the Chao was something that I pitched to make things feel cohesive. I didn't want there to be yet another random alien race. Oh, it's the Babylonians, it's the Black Arms, it's the Wisps, it's just all these aliens, and here they are. And I wanted to have more interconnectivity in the Sonic lore, which is where the Chao connection came from. And I think everyone's reaction has been universally, all right. Which, I get, I dig, I understand. And, we work with that.
Yeah, all right. Next up, what purpose do you think these mecha-driving aliens had for evolving into these smaller, more marketable plushy forms?
I
think
they
that's
had
it.
No say in it. It was not up to them in the slightest.
They just like to be rocks, I guess. Rocks rock. Which is weird because...
I was thinking in terms of turning into Chao. Yeah, the Coco angle.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking of Coco. Well, I mean, I guess it could
go
either way.
Adorable, plushable critters.
I guess it could go either way. I mean, this whole franchise is nothing but adorable, plushable critters, Ian.
Yeah, fair enough. The Coco were baked into the plot that was given to me, and it's like, okay, how do we make them make sense? Kind of surprised with how some of the final renditions were, but that's how it goes.
All right. In universe, we have seen posters for the movie franchise Chao in Space, but their origins were never known to us or the characters in universe until the events of Frontiers. Who pitched these movies, and how did they know? Was this unnamed person just super lucky, or were the Chao themselves trying to tell us their origins this whole time?
In-universe lucky guess, if you even want to count those posters as canon.
I do.
This is goofy little Chao in space.
Chaos Soda, that's totally real, dude. Don't take this away from me. Please, don't do this. Chaos himself was said to be a mutated Chao before Frontiers dropped. But does this explanation still hold water? I see what you did there. Or is he just the last remaining ancient?
No, he's still a mutated Chao. The mutation is he looks like their ancestors. The equivalent would be if you had a human child born that had all like Neanderthal traits or something. Like if you somehow had a child that looked like an Australopithecus, the mutation is a rollback to the previous thing. He's still a mutant Chao. That hasn't changed.
Fascinating. One of the egg memos gives us a window into Eggman and his relationship to Maria. It sort of read, to me, like he may have not gotten the attention he wanted or felt like he deserved as a child. What are your thoughts? Is there a tragic backstory we have yet to learn about Dr. Robotnik?
I don't want to put too fine a point onto it, because who knows when we will be able to fully explore that, and it's not my place to potentially spoil. But one thing to consider going forward is that what we are getting is Eggman's insights from his point of view. That is a very, very biased narrator. So we'll see what things pan out in the long term.
All right. I think it'll be interesting if we learn a bit more about him. Although I do find it fascinating that there is maybe canonically a character that has actually aged. So did the Black Arms and Babylonians also develop pinball? Is this the true mark of an intelligent, advanced society?
Here I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say yes.
Why not?
Like somewhere in the Black Comet, there's like this horrible living pool table where you like bounce around a giant eyeball and make it land in various orifices and bounce off of various bony nerve endings, and they're screaming every time you score points.
Okay.
The Babylonian one, though, if it's anything to go by those like final stages and riders, it is a psychedelic trip, man. Like maybe you are riding the ball itself. The ball is the extreme gear. You're just trying to survive in there. It's one gigantic pinball racetrack.
Now I'm wondering though, like I'm curious. Did you know that it would be pinball as you were going through it, or did that come later?
That came later, but I think because I know that line was at least touched by me. So I guess somewhere it was established that there was going to be a pinball game that Sonic would have to interact with.
Yeah.
And I kind of lampshaded it.
And then
I didn't know it was going to be the gateway to gameplay, to game progression.
Well, and then there's the whole shoot 'em up, shmup minigame too, that ultimately became the final boss, which is like, what? This is so weird.
Yeah.
Why am all of a sudden playing Toho in the middle of Sonic? What happened here? I mean, freaking Sage even looks kind of like a Toho character. It's frightening. I know everyone's like, oh, it's like Undertale. It's like, guys, where do you think Undertale got it from? Toho. Ikaruga, yeah. Toho, Ikaruga, yeah. Ikaruga mechanics were weird. I'm like, what? What a very strange thing to pull inspiration from. Like a somewhat obscure thing. I love Ikaruga. It's fantastic. But I was just like, what? I did not expect them to mix Ikaruga into Sonic. With the context of the ancients being aliens now, what are your thoughts on the artificial chaos? Gerald was able to give them their spacefaring life again aboard the Ark. May he have known of their origin and the end already?
I don't think so. Because the Eclipse cannon and Shadow and everything was geared to prevent the Black Arms. If he knew about the end and all of that, I think he would have taken steps to prepare against it as well. And as far as we have seen, there isn't anything like that. Watch, that gets retconned later and I look like an idiot. But I think that was just his general study of the Chao and Chaos himself. I don't think he had any greater understanding.
You mean you wouldn't retcon that later? Someone else would?
I don't know, man. I don't call the shots.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you were king of Sega.
No, when Sega says, hey, aliens gave us Chaos Emeralds, it's like, okay, how do I make that make sense? How do I pitch this so that it makes sense? Please? Can we do it this way, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I thought you were the one in charge now. Suspicious. Very suspicious. Do you think the alien origin of the Chaos Emeralds contradicts what we know about Earth and the Gaia temples?
Not necessarily. The ancients and the Chaos Emeralds came to Earth tens of thousands of years ago, like the furthest back you can get. And the Gaia temples themselves were said to be tens of thousands of years old, but if like the ancients came back 90,000 years ago and the Gaia temples were built 85,000 years ago, that's still 5,000 years of history to go through, and a lot can happen in that time frame. Just like how much has happened in the past 2,000 years, for pity's sake.
Look in the last 100 years, honestly.
Yeah, no joke. So
yeah,
the ancients coming back super far back and the temples being super old do not necessarily cause friction.
Nah. And we're already at the last question. This one's a bit of a short one, but hey, sometimes that happens. If you had to go ahead to create a game with a universal grand tour for the Sonic cast, how would you do it, and what would you like to be explored, story and lore-wise? Which characters would you like to tag along on this space adventure?
I wouldn't, because I can't immediately think of a universal tour story that I was satisfied with, because it's hard enough to find the time to properly explore the planet you're on. Going to a whole other planet is like, that's an entire planet to establish. And if you do it as, oh, it's the planet of the hats, I don't find that remotely satisfying.
Are you saying that
look at
planet of a city is not good enough?
No, not really.
The snow planet?
No,
Oh.
I want more to it. What are the various regions of the snow planet? What are the different environs? What are the different peoples of there? Because, is it one species? What are the different social aspects of each one? I don't like it being just, here's Yeti planet. They're all Yetis and they're all vaguely, insultingly Scandinavian. I just, no. If you're going to do a world tour, just tour your own world, explore it, do stuff like that. If gun to my head, we had to do it. Well, we've got Planet Wisp. We've been there before. So let's see other regions of Planet Wisp. Other clans. Are there other mother wisps? Are there other groupings of wisps? Or if it's just one, what kind of biodiversity? Are there other animals on Planet Wisp? Do they play with these animals and like invigorate them with their wisp power? Explore the planet a little bit. Do something with it. Go to Planet Dodonpa. If it's an entire planet devoted to interplanetary motor construction delivery, ? What does that look like? On an industrial level, can you make a bit of an insight into corporate towns and the horrible situations those are? Can you do anything with that? Can you make that interesting to some degree? Don't really have the Black Arms to go back to. Their home world was transient and it got blowed up. Unless we find, the planet where they originally came from, or a planet they previously infected, and it's still Black Armsy. And, then you get your body horror Warhammer 40K living planet, Nightmare Fuel planet, and you can do stuff there, like run and scream and tear.
Lost Hex. That at least has differing regions.
Yeah, I guess that's a different world. I kind of I count it as part of Sonic's world though, because it's there, it's in orbit. Mm-hmm. I guess it is a different planetoid. Little Planet, I guess, as an extension of that, might be neat to see that in 3D.
Yeah, that at least has various different, biomes and environments and stuff like that.
Yep. So
could be interesting.
Just the nature of the Universal World Tour is, you don't get enough time to spend on each individual planet to really get to know it. It's more like a tourist pass through, and I've never been super satisfied with that. If we're going to go to Kashyyyk, I want to spend the next 3 years learning Wookiee. I want to see what it's like there. Yeah. I don't want to say, oh, that's a Wookiee. Grab a postcard. We're off to this planet now. I want more. I want to get into it. I want to see things.
Yeah. I think that's one of the weakest things you could say about Star Wars or even Star Trek. Like, they're just kind of, planets are kind of boiled down to, they're different regions, but they're called planets, even though it would just be like, you could just have this all taking place on one world, but, it's more fun to have spaceships, to be fair. So, I don't know. What I do know is that we are done with this episode of BumbleKast Mini.
Thank you to Jams for sponsoring this episode. If you want a BumbleKast Mini of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a corresponding member on YouTube.
We'll catch you next time.